Asylum Dustin Bellamont for Revolution News here at Toronto. Oh, well, here, folks, I'm standing in front of Han Dong's constituency office.
Why?
But, well, of course, here, folks, is that yes, there's a protest going on against him because of his, yes, pro-CCP stance. Well, this is the MP who left the House of Commons when they were voting into the issue of the Uyghurs and of course the motion to condemn the genocide against the Uyghurs. But of course that just shows that well, Han Dong is pro-CCP. But of course here, folks, is that according to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, if you dare to raise that issue, if you dare to actually question about Han Dong and his pro-CCP stance, well, according to him, yes, you are racist. Wow, but of course, folks, it is such a hypocritical thing here coming from the guy who wore blackface multiple times, more than he can remember. But the other part here, folks, is that yes, the Prime Minister, well, he doesn't want to investigate the Chinese interference into the Canadian election, but instead, he wants to investigate where it got leaked from, who leaked it. Basically, he wants to go after the person that leaked it. But well, of course, here, folks, is that yes, basically the other part here is Han Dong primarily, yes, oh yes, here, folks, got elected into office because the Chinese Communist Party threatened, yes, Chinese Canadians and international students to, well, vote for Han Dong. But, well, of course, folks, that is not a big concern for Justin Trudeau. The big concern for him is, of course, the person who leaked it. That's where he's more worried about rather than what, having a public inquiry, an honest inquiry into the Chinese interference to our election here in Canada. Unbelievable.
Sources, the candidate in question was Han Dong, then a former Ontario MPP, whom Canadian Security Intelligence Services had started tracking in June of that year. National security officials also allege that Dong, now a sitting MP, re-elected in 2021, is one of at least 11 Toronto area riding candidates allegedly supported by Beijing in the 2019 election. Sources say that the service also believes Dong is a willing affiliate in China's election interference network. Dong was named by Global News as one of the 11 candidates China sought to help in the election. Global offered details on seniors being bussed in to vote for Dong during his nomination battle with his name written on their arm. They reported that Chinese international students in the Toronto area were told to vote for him or lose their visa status. How sick is that? Yet an examination of Dong's voting record shows that he dodged calling China's treatment of Uyghur genocide and was absent for a similar motion in October. It's not unknown that China has an abysmal human rights record, and that continues to deteriorate rapidly. Just one report from Amnesty International says that the human rights record in China is failing at a fast and furious rate. CBC reports that the RCMP is investigating at least 3 Chinese police stations in Toronto, right here, and there are global reports of more. Chinese police stations? Hello? Shut them out. And now we find that China has the gall to interfere in Canadian elections. By the way, Iran and Pakistan also have their agendas at play in Canadian politics. Now, my friends, when you have a weak and ineffective leader in power like young Mr. Trudeau, other regimes and entities like the Muslim Brotherhood, the IRGC of Iran, and the Chinese Communist Party take full advantage of the leader's cowardice, his inability to make a strong decision, and his stupidity not to have a public inquiry in the election interference. Well, let me assure you, if our leader is ineffective, Canadians are not. If he is too scared to act because he admires communist regimes and dictators and those who are killing their own people, remember, there are people like you and me who will bring others and rally until such a time as he is booted out of office. Yes, thank you. Long live Canada, strong and free.
Moscow! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Handang Moscow!
Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Handang Moscow!
Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Handang Moscow!
Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Handang Moscow!
Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Handang Moscow!
We don't want any human rights violators on Canadian soil. We don't want CCP agents on Canadian.
Get them out!
CCP!
Get them out!
CCP!
Get them out!
CCP!
Get them out!
IRGC!
Get them out!
IRGC!
Get them out!
IRGC!
Get them out!
Putin's agent!
Get them out!
Putin's agent!
Get them out!
Regime's family!
Get them out!
Regime's family!
Get them out!
They occupied our academia, our universities. They sent their family member to our beautiful country in Canada. Why? They are violating freedom in Canada. We remember those. Please, please respect to Canadian national anthem and raise your beautiful Canadian flag. Scarlett, please.
I didn't know I was singing twice. I wouldn't have screamed those chants so loud otherwise. So you guys got to sing really loud with me, okay? Because I've already lost my voice. Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all our sons command. Qu'à ton bras c'est porter l'épée, il sait porter la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Officially, our protest is finished. Thank you for accepting our invitation.
Let's hope Trudeau no support to China.
Job.
Lock up, Dong! Woo!
Hawk. What is it? Hawk, Hawk, Hawk?
Lock up, Dong.
Hawk, Hawk, Hawk. Lock.
up.
No, lock that dog. Lock that dog. Hawk,
Fire, Dong. Fire, Dong. That's not enough.
Hawk, Hawk, Hawk. Lock that dog.
Because he's a police fighter.
Lock that dog.
No Chinese police on Canadian soil. 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 Woo! Thank you guys, and our dear Chinese Canadians, this is for you. We're standing with you. We know that many of you are anti-communists, and unfortunately Justin Trudeau's government support CCP, and you're in danger over here, but you're not alone. We know about it and we're with you.
What's your message to MP Han Dong?
Resign. Resign and surrender yourself to the police.
And now you actually mentioned about the Canadian soil here, about the Chinese police being here on the Canadian soil. To be more specific here, what do you want the Parliament to do regarding about the Chinese police stations here in Canada?
I mean, this is a scandal, and communist China is a very powerful country right now, to the point that they're opening their own police stations abroad. And Canada is very easy to penetrate, not only by China, but by any foreign powers, especially World Economic Forum. And they opened at least two police stations here in Canada, and the purpose of those stations is only to oppress and invigilate Chinese Canadians. So this must stop, and if we still have a country, they must be shut down by RCMP, but our understanding is that they cannot take any action because Justin Trudeau is blocking it. He's going after the CSIS and RCMP officers who are bringing it to his attention instead of going after CPP and their police.
Now you mentioned about that, CCs and RCMPs. That what do you say to the fact that our Prime Minister doesn't want to investigate the interference, but rather he wants to go after the person who leaked that document?
It's an absolute scandal, and this alone must be investigated, and this is another reason why Justin Trudeau must go to jail.
And another part here is that this is a kind of a last question here, is that what do you say to the fact that until right now we're not seeing any actions from our Prime Minister about the CCS, kind of the Chinese interference on the Canadian election? Like, do you think that he's kind of setting a whole double standards here because he wants to investigate the Emergency Act, like the Trucker Freedom Convoy, but he doesn't want to lay a finger about this?
Yes, it's just another one. It's almost weekly. There is a new scandal coming, and right now I can only imagine that the Prime Minister and McKinsey Consulting and World Economic Forum, they are just scrambling for answers and for a solution. So hectic time for them, but we have more than one problem in this country, more than one scandal in this country. I'm not even sure if we still have a country.
Alright, so very last question is that what do you say to the fact that if you dare, according to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, that if you dare to actually raise the issue about MP Han Dong, you are racist? What do you think? How do you explain this type of hypocrisy coming from my Prime Minister who wore blackface multiple times more than he can remember?
Yes, well, blackface calls everybody racist, right? Like, this is hypocrisy to the point that you can't, that it disarms you, but nobody cares about what he says anymore. You can call, if you're against him, you're racist, so that's okay. I guess it makes us all racist. We have black racists over here, white racists, Chinese racists, racists from India, and racists from all over the world. All racists against Trudeau and for Canada.
Candidates should be permitted to run for public office in this country. That's the only way we can stop this thing from happening, because otherwise it will happen over and over again, folks. That is the solution. That is the way. We have to do a deep dive and a deep investigation in every single Chinese origin candidate who is currently or is running for either an MP, MPP, or even a city councillor. We need to investigate all these people, folks. It's not safe. We don't know where they get their money from. We don't know where their donations are coming from. We don't know what type of contacts they have. We know that the Communist Party of China is trying very hard to infiltrate the local Chinese-Canadian community here. So out of an abundance of caution, out of safety and security for our country, out of the fact that China is an evil nation that is clearly an enemy of Western values, democracies, and the democratic West, we need to have logical and rational limits. And those limits include, at least temporarily, a complete ban on people of Chinese origin running for any sort of public office in Toronto. And we also need to restrict university professors and university students from engaging in high-tech research within our educational institutions, because we don't know what kind of technology is leaking out and going over to China from our institutions of higher learning. So Chinese students, foreign students, Chinese Canadians, the United States must have control of them and them alone. Their intelligence agencies and homeland security should dictate who we elect.
Oh, well, here, folks, just take a look at this. So basically, this guy made a sign, and of course, according to this person, that he want to give it to Mr. Poilievre on Saturday, but the leader of the opposition, Mr. Poilievre, didn't accept his gift. Wow! So just take a look at that here, folks. So what's your initial thoughts on this? Because just sort of addresses the things here, folks.
We're just worried. I told him we are just worried that this may be the case. I was not saying that this is the case, but I wanted his comment. Well, he did not accept it. He didn't like the gift. That's okay. That's okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, he brought up racism too. So he sounds very similar to Justin, unfortunately. Right? So, yeah.
People who own our government, those are the people that know. The people that own the Bank of Canada, that's what they're doing.
You don't know shit.
Yeah, you don't know much.
Don't you think the Bank of Canada is going to do
The Bank of Canada's owned.
Don't you think the Bank of Canada is going to do it?
Get an education. Educate yourself. No, you have to.
Be careful so it doesn't run you over.
Oh well, here, folks, the rally against Handong is now officially over, but of course, from what I have seen here today regarding about this protest against Handong, is that yes, it surely addresses the issue about the Chinese interference into Canadian election. Because the thing here, folks, is that yes, it is surely disturbing the fact that China threatened Chinese Canadians and international students that if they don't vote for Handong, well, they're gonna lose their status here in Canada, meaning their visa status. So, one of course, here, folks, is that yes, oh yes, surely these Chinese Canadians being forced to, well, vote for Handong, knowing that Handong has a deep ties with the Chinese Communist Party. But of course, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has no problem on keeping Handong on his caucus. As of course, remember back then, he openly stated that he has a big admiration for the basic dictatorship of the Chinese Communist Party. But of course, what do you expect from our dear Prime Minister when in fact that he is being beholden by the CCP? Well, nothing. And of course, the NDP is also calling for a investigation into the Chinese interference to the Canadian election. But despite of it, well, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is doubling down and doesn't want to actually hold an inquiry addressing the Chinese interference. But of course, remember that he actually created an inquiry about his abuse of the Emergency Act, is his use of the martial law. But one of course here, folks, is that going back to this issue here, folks, is that yes, the CSIS actually won't do anything, and the RCMP is surely just announced that they're gonna be investigating the leak, not the interference, but the person leaked it. Wow, talk about a real thing here, folks. Like, talk about a set of priority, a whole different priority set by the RCMP. Unbelievable. But of course, one thing here for sure that I'm gonna say here, folks, is that yes, no matter of the things here, yes, MP Han Dong must go because of his deep ties with the Chinese Communist Party, which alone is totally surreal and totally not good. For Revolution News, I'm Asylum Justin Villamore. Hey there, folks. Well, MP Han Dong turned out to be a pro-CCP MP, and allegedly he has a deep ties with the Chinese Communist Party. So of course, if you agree that Han Dong must go, by heading over to fardong.com, that's fardong.com, and sign that petition. And of course here, folks, if you want to support my work, please head over to donorbox.org/Revolution Freedom Reports. That's donorbox.org/Revolution Freedom Reports. And of course, if you could kick in a buck or two, that would greatly appreciated. Thank you so much.